Welcome, everyone. This is Naomi De Peña from Hope to Courage, and I am so excited that you're joining us today so we get an opportunity to discuss all the amazing resources that we have for these 21 days of gratitude. And I am joined by my friend, Samia Santos. Hi, Samia.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Samia is going to be helping me get to know all the resources and all the people that will be contributing for these 21 days. And I am so excited for this one, right? Because this is someone that I have worked with personally. There's such a wealth of information. And this is Jamard Banks from Herbal Kemistry. I'm just gonna let him introduce himself, let us know who he is and what he will be bringing to the table on these 21 days of gratitude.
Hello, everyone. Peace and good health. So my name is Jamard Banks. I am a clinical herbalist and holistic health coach. I started a company called Herbal Kemistry about 3.5 years ago. It started basically with me having my own health imbalances and issues that I was looking for help. I really couldn't find the answers that I was looking for. And I tried to Google my way to victory. It didn't work. And next thing you know, I ended up looking for schools out in Europe and all this amazing knowledge and information about phytochemistry, biochemistry, and environmental toxicity just kind of like fell out of the sky. So essentially, Herbal Kemistry is a company that helps people look for natural ways of healing themselves. And it runs in conjunction with Western medicine to offer that natural healing and support so that the two, science and holistic medicine, can be married together.
That is fantastic, isn't that? That's great. Jay, I know I reached out about our 21 days of gratitude and you said yes right away. What drew you to this approach and this initiative? Why did you say yes?
Well, it falls right in line with natural and holistic healing. Holistic healing is about seeing the whole picture. So when people have imbalances and we're dealing with dis-ease is never something that's very finite and acute. There's always different things that contributes to it. It's how you're feeling throughout the day. It's what you're being exposed to. It's how you're sleeping. It's who you're around. It's how you're handling stresses at work. All of these things contribute to our balances and imbalances. And in order to treat or fix or support anything, you really need to address, your external triggers, your external stimuli. And this is a very holistic approach. So it fits right in line with natural medicine.
That's awesome. It really does. And I'm just so grateful that you said yes, because you are such a wealth of information, but you also have such an understanding of the brain and how all of this connects to fear. So earlier we were just discussing about this. Would you mind just discussing a little bit about what you were sharing with us about what fear is and how it affects your brain, how it affects your immunity overall?
Wow, there's a lot on fear. So fear, fear generally emanates from the amygdala of the brain. So your brain kind of produces these two primary energies, and they have two different frequencies. It's fear and love. Fear is essentially what branches off into other negative emotions, or we would call negative emotions like anger, hate, frustration. All those things emanate from that. And it also has a direct effect on how your amygdala may or may not swell. And it also has another effect on your gastrointestinal system. So what happens is essentially your body starts taking on different vibrations and frequencies based on the emotions that are being traveled down your central nervous system, and they get trapped into different organ systems. So for example, someone who has resentment, they start noticing that they're constipated. So there's actual links in how your brain sends signals to different organ systems, and that's where you start having these imbalances.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Love it. Love it. Dr. J, it is proven that basically like our emotions don't just influence our moods, but also our immune system and everything else all around us, our physical bodies as well. We're talking about fear, and it is, we hear this all the time. Fear is such a paralyzing factor. How do your services and what you provide help many people, not just yourself, because obviously you discovered this in your own journey, but including things that are a little bit more natural and herbal, help us to rise above and be able to move forward with our goals and in life?
Wow. So the services that we provide actually kind of helps us to face you want to face fear. And in facing fear, that means actually noticing and accepting that, something is happening, something needs to change. So when we're fearful, those things of fear we tend to overlook them. We want to avoid them. We put them in a little box and then we put them away. And a lot of times we're doing those things with, things that we may not like about ourselves. So natural health is about facing directly right in front of what it is that you're trying to deal with and taking actions to change. So the services that we offer actually include things like detoxification, which is really important. Sometimes you want to really release the things that you no longer need to make room for the things that you want to bring in. And fear can sometimes attach itself to those things. So I've actually found connections to some of the detoxification processes will remove parasites and intestinal worms and things that release hormones that causes fear, stress, and anxiety, because those triggers will then cause you to have a attraction to certain foods that they want to digest. So understanding the connection between fear and stress and anxiety and the central nervous system and gut health is essentially what we go after. So our job is to manage the body, the physical body. And of course, like with any type of healing, it's important that we all network. My focus is the body and the physical body, but then it's important that you still have, therapeutic, you're still going outside, you're still touching the soil, you're still networking with people with loved ones. All those things is part of healing, because healing is a network. Healing is something that we all have a place and a part, because it takes a community to heal one person.
That's beautiful. I know. I love what you mentioned about healing is a network. And I wrote in my notes, because you mentioned earlier, I tried to heal my way through Google, right? Like, I think we all have been there, right? We Google our way through healing, figure out we are convinced that we have this or that we don't have this. But this is exactly what this network is all about. Us creating this space where we are allowing people to choose what they need and be able to have that healing space. So thank you for sharing that, especially what you mentioned about nature. Can you discuss a little bit about what you do? Because I know you go live a lot in your social media platforms and sharing the importance of being in nature during this time, and just a connection to that in terms of releasing stress and how you feel. Can you speak on that?
Sure. So right now, you can see in the background, I'm using the snow in the background. We have a little snow here in New Jersey. So in connecting with nature, I found it very important to have a first person experience. As times have changed, we started noticing that there's this slow disconnect in education, and we're reading about what an elephant may smell like or feel like or look like, instead of actually being able to touch and taste. So are you connecting with nature and actually being able to put your hands on trees and connecting to plants and talking to the plants and tasting the plant gives you a first person experience. This is where, they said some time ago how our ancestors would be confused as to how we're able to derive this information from them, because the information is technically inside the plant. So you want that first person experience. In addition to that, just being outside in nature, especially dense parts of nature, allows you access to different grids of energy. So the earth produces its own magnetic pulse. And that magnetic pulse is based on intersecting ley lines of what's called a Becker-Hagen's grid. So depending upon where you're standing, whether or not you're grounding yourself, you're taking your shoes off, you're hugging trees, you're sitting in that dense vegetation, there's studies where they've actually monitored a person's brain patterns, and they've seen a dramatic shift within 20 minutes. A person will go from depressed, stressed, to calm, to peaceful.
Wow.
Able to reflect upon themselves instead of being pulled by the external stimuli. Because nowadays, sadly, when we have a moment, we're now looking for something else. So you're either looking for the television, you're looking for your cell phone, you feel like you need to read a book, but we don't have that time to really sit, pause, and be in on ourselves. And that's what nature does. So finding some time in nature is imperative. Even though it's cold outside, you still want to be able to experience the cold, because the cold does have something beautiful out there. I still go out there every day, because the frost brings different plants, it brings different herbs. There are certain mushrooms that only grow in the cold. Certain things like juniper berry is only made available. You want to be able to see the difference between an ash tree and cedar, and see how one tree remains green and the other one loses all of its leaves. That's part of the cycle, so that we can understand how our lives are supposed to move in this circadian rhythm.
Love it. It is so amazing how much nature can influence our bodies, our minds, our gut health, like everything in overall, even if it's just like 10 minutes outside in the sun, can really truly influence our health, our mental health. It is incredible. I was actually very excited to hear, and I didn't know this. I've heard, different detoxes, but I didn't know that there were different detoxes that you could practice according to the seasons. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So actually at Herbal Chemistry, we do seasonal detoxification. We like to stick with the seasons because that's generally when the body changes. As we know, a lot of things happen seasonally, certain types of infections come up seasonally. So what happens is the body is naturally trying to recalibrate itself as it prepares for the shift in seasons. We don't need as much protection from cold in the summertime, so the body recalibrates. It starts to release different hormones like HGH to kind of restructure itself to prepare. And detoxification is actually linked into this. So during the summer seasons, you want to actually follow longer fasting days, whereas in the wintertime, you may fast, for just a short period of time, but refrain from eating animal protein, maybe 2 to 3 times in a week. Whereas in the summertime, you can avoid animal protein completely and pull from nature. So what we find is that nature's seasons actually tell us what we should be eating. So for example, in the fall season, you start noticing the fruits and vegetables begin to die, but you start to see pumpkins and squash. And then as that season dies off, you start eating more pumpkin, but the pumpkin and pumpkin seeds are there to help battle against the parasites that you would normally come into contact with because now you're starting to hunt. Our ancestors would hunt for food. They would be killing squirrels and rabbits and deer, and they would eat more animal protein, which contains the intestinal worms and parasites. So the pumpkins are there to actually help bring that balance. But if we're not following the seasons, then what happens? We end up eating animal protein throughout the entire year in mass quantities. And now we have this buildup of parasite activity. And as the parasites are building up, they're going to start to reproduce. And then they start sending the wrong signals to the brain. And that's where we start to have an imbalance.
That's so enlightening. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. I mean, I know that you approach health from so many different areas. How specifically will you be supporting everyone during these 21 days? Tell us a little bit about this in terms of what you will be bringing and how people can tune into that.
Awesome. So I would love to be able to prepare some lives. So I love feeding off of people's questions. And so we're going to definitely have some type of live, either Facebook
Great, so we'll
Live.
have access to you. That's great.
Yes. This way we can kind of go in and hone in on specific questions that people may ask. But managing with herbals is really where we're going to really focus on as well. The simple plants that people have at home that they may have in their cupboard, things like vanilla, things like pepper. Black pepper opens up GABA receptors. So anything you use with pepper becomes stronger, becomes more enhanced. So a person who has gut issues can use ginger and pepper together and really make something that's extremely powerful to help heal themselves. So managing gut health and the central nervous system with natural, easy to find supermarket brand herbs is where we're looking at, as well as I wanted to offer a very simple blend that a person can use with essential oils and honey that they can mix at home to kind of help keep their airways clear in case they have any imbalances there. So offering herbs is where we're going to be.
I love it. I love that you're keeping this simple, accessible to everyone, especially those who are first learning. But if somebody wanted to learn a little bit more and dig deep into the services that you provide, where can they find you?
You can just go to herbalchemistry.com. That's Herbal Chemistry, all one word, spelled with a K instead of a CH. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook. There's YouTube videos, and I'm pretty sure I talk quite a bit on the YouTube videos, ranging from information on mushrooms to the molecular structure of water and how to pick the right water for yourself.
That's amazing. We'll be sharing that also in the notes. Thank you, Jay. It's been a pleasure having you with us today. Thank you so much for what you will be offering absolutely at no cost to the 21 Days of Gratitude Initiative.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I call it spirit money.
Yeah. Great. Once again, everyone, don't forget January 9th to January 30th. We'll be doing our 21 days of gratitude. Find us on hopetocourage.com. Thank you, everyone.
Peace and good health, everyone.
Love you.